Pitkin County Open Space and Trails is reviewing 5 different options to complete a dual surface trail connection along the Rio Grande from W/J Hill into Aspen. This is the last remaining unimproved section of the 42-mile-long Rio Grande Trail. Option 1, sustainable soft surface. This is the status quo option that would make essential repairs to the existing trail and create a sustainable soft surface. This option does not include a hard surface or paving anywhere on the trail. Option 2, McLean Flats climbing lanes. This option would repair and maintain a sustainable soft surface along the Rio Grande and add climbing lanes along McLean Flats Road on both steep uphill sections on the W/J side and along the section that climbs above Stein Park next to the Sunnyside Trail. Option 3, dual surface along the Rio Grande, options A and B. Option 3A includes a full-width, dual-surface upgrade along the remaining 4 miles of unpaved trail into Aspen. This option would require significantly widening the trail in some places. Option 3B includes a dual-surface upgrade that is not as wide as 3A. The goal of this option is to create a dual surface but work within the existing trail platform. There would be sections where it narrows and can only accommodate hard surface. Option 4. Hard surface connection to the Airport Business Center over a new bridge. This option offers a dual surface connection from W/J Hill to a loose shale formation crossing the trail. At this point, a bridge would take the hard surface trail over the Roaring Fork River into the Airport Business Center and the existing hard surface bike trail into town. A soft surface would continue along the Rio Grande Trail from the shale formation into Aspen. The purpose of this video is to take you on a tour of the existing Rio Grande Trail and point out the options along the way. You can find details of this project on our website and also have the opportunity to take a short survey telling us which option or combination of options you prefer. Go to www.pitkincountyrgt.org. We're standing on the Rio Grande Trail in Woody Creek. This is the last section of this magnificent biking, hiking, and equestrian trail yet to be paved. I'm with Lindsay Utter, the recreation planner for Pitkin County Open Space and Trails. Lindsay, tell us why this particular project is so important.
The Rio Grande Trail is 42 miles long. It connects Glenwood Springs to Aspen, and all but this last section, which is a little over 4.5 miles, is paved. We're looking at creating a dual surface, and right now we have 4 different options. We're going to look at how we can upgrade the existing soft surface and take care of some of the engineering problems that occur. Our option number 2 is looking at having climbing lanes on McLean Flats Road for cyclists and then having the soft surface upgrades on the existing Rio Grande. Option 3 is looking at a dual surface, so both hard and soft surface on the existing trail alignment. And then option 4 is looking at a dual surface up until the Shale Bluff Formation comes down on the Rio Grande Trail and having a bridge from the Rio to the ABC area with the hard surface connecting to the ABC and going into town on existing bike routes that occur over through the city of Aspen. And the soft surface would continue through the canyon and connect into the city of Aspen that way.
We hope this program today will help give you a first-hand look of just what we're talking about. So let's go take a look. So Lindsay, this is a really popular section of trail, isn't it?
Yeah, this 4-mile stretch is the most popular section of the Rio Grande Trail. It's really popular with tourists who like to ride from Aspen to the Woody Creek Tavern, as well as locals, especially commuters, because for those who work in Aspen, they like to commute up and down valley along the Rio.
So has there been a lot of pressure to put a hard surface on this last portion of trail?
Yeah, last year we did a visitor use survey regarding recreation on open space properties. This section of trail was identified as the #1 missing link because for the 42-mile long stretch of the Rio Grande, this section doesn't have a hard surface connection. So the section of Rio that we're biking right now, we have plenty of width to get a dual surface in. So we could have 8 feet of asphalt, 6 feet of soft surface. And there's actually enough room where we could have a fully separated soft surface. So that's options 3 and 4 would have a dual surface along this section of Rio. For option 4, we're getting to the location where we're looking at the potential of having a bridge going across the Roaring Fork, with the hard surface. You can see the shale bluff formation comes down and narrows up the trail. So the idea of bridging the hard surface over and bringing it into town through the ABC and connecting to the City of Aspen's trail systems is option 4, but then soft surface as part of option 4 would continue along the existing Rio Grande alignment with a few upgrades. Some of the constraints, clearly there's a major power line here that would be difficult to work around when placing a bridge, but the idea of having the dual surface continue on from here, this shale bluff, the shale formation is about a mile long and provides a major geological constraint for construction in order to have a dual surface. So you can also see that in addition to the shale that we talk about, we also get this large cobble fall. Option 3 looks at a few different ways of having walls to retain that off of the trail surface. Especially once you put asphalt in, having that stuff fall down on asphalt becomes a major repair issue. As you can see here, we're starting to see some of the shale that comes down anytime there's a major rain event on this section of the Rio.
Well, engineering-wise, there's just so much more to it than slapping down pavement. You have to think about, as you said, retaining walls. Do you ever have to elevate the trail over anything if you were to use this option?
Yeah, ahead of us, where the shale comes down directly to the edge of the trail, option 3, where we're looking at having the full width, so 14 feet wide, looks at having an elevated deck so that the shale can do what it does naturally and just flow underneath the trail. Clearly that's the most expensive option also, but we wanted to explore everything and look at the different ways that we could accomplish our goal of getting the dual surface trail connection into Aspen.
So here's a perfect example of why this is such a challenge.
Right. This section of Rio, this area through here is shale bluff formation, and anytime there's a major rain event or freeze thaw, the material comes down onto the Rio Grande surface. So when we look at having a dual surface or paving through here, this is what we have to keep in mind is the maintenance on this section, and also keeping in mind that this is 2 miles in from either end. So when it comes to trucking in and trucking out on this section, we have to look at how that affects the trail users.
We're walking along the steepest section of McLean Flats Road. Lindsay, this is a beast to try to ride up. Here on this side and on the other side that comes up from Stein Park, if we don't dual surface the Rio Grande Trail into town along the trail that we were on, what are the plans for making this a little more manageable on a bike?
So option 2 looks at adding climbing lanes, bike climbing lanes on either end of McLean Flats, so on this steep section as well as the other side that comes out of Aspen. And on this side, it's actually pretty straightforward. We'll have enough width, we can add a stretch of asphalt and put on some guardrails. The other side is a lot more complicated, and that one would involve major uphill retaining walls in order to get the width we would need to add a bike lane in there. One thing to keep in mind is that, so this would accomplish our hard surface connection into Aspen, and we would be working on the sustainable soft surface, which is what option 1 encompassed. That would be included with this, and it would just mean upgrading the existing soft surface into Aspen.
Now, one thing you can't do is make these hills any less steep, right?
Nope, that's up to you to train for.
Well, Lindsay, as we walk up toward the Sunnyside Trail on McLean Flats Road, what are some of the challenges you face with this section?
So this section we're looking at right now would be option 2, and it's the climbing lanes as they come from Aspen uphill towards to McLean Flats, the flats proper. The goal is to have 3 feet of asphalt here so that we could have enough room for a bike lane, a climbing lane. So the major problem is retaining the uphill slope. This section calls for, it's a little over 1.5 miles worth of retaining walls varying from boulder wall to a soil nail wall for taller retaining walls. The idea is that we provide some width for the cyclist to have, yeah.
It's tight here.
They have the width for the climbing lane, and then once they are going the speed of traffic on the flats or in the downhill, they would assume the lane of traffic. And then again with option 2, the idea is that we would do the full sustainable soft surface, so the option 1, that portion of the Rio, the existing Rio, that upgrade would occur along with the climbing lanes. So this section of the Rio we're on right now is the part that's closest to the city of Aspen, so kind of the end of our project. And what we're looking at right now is that this hillside seeps down water year-round. And in the sustainable soft surface option, we look at just upgrading these kind of areas. So raising the elevation of the soft surface trail a little bit so we can clean out these culverts and get bigger culverts in to get a better flow. In the winter, it's a problem in here because this will ice over a lot because the culverts freeze up and then the water spills over the trail and creates a hazard. The idea is that we want the water to continue to do its thing of flow but not saturate the trail, and we don't want the trail to continue to unravel into the water. So the sustainable option is option 1, and option 2 includes upgrading areas like this so that the trail is improved, the soft surface trail.
Now, while we're on the subject of ice, you mentioned earlier that you are keeping in mind the Nordic operation, the piston bully that has to come down here and groom the trails. So that's another reason why they have to be a certain width to accommodate these.
Right, the piston bully takes at bare minimum 13 feet wide. So all of our options, no matter what, take into consideration that we want to accommodate the grooming in the Nordic program in the winter. This is a great section. This is one of my favorite sections to run actually in the winter. It's beautiful through here, so it's definitely considered in all the designs. So right now we're approaching Gold Butte, which is a very prominent land feature along this section of the Rio Grande Trail.
That's that whole climbing area right
there. This rock feature, and then there's one up in front of us a little bit. And in this area, options 1, 2, and 4 would all be the sustainable soft surface. So just cleaning up and upgrading the existing trail to soft surface. Option 3 looks at getting the hard surface through here. As you can see, there's different mud flows that come down through here and affect the soft surface anytime we have a major rain event. Also another constraint in here to be aware of is that there's the sewer line in the trail. With 8 feet of hard surface, we have enough room. We would clean up the sides a little bit, but there'd be enough space, horizontal space. If we were to try to get the dual surface through here, we'd start ending up with some pretty major retaining walls on the riverside in order to be able to have the width to have both a soft and hard surface trail platform in here. So it's definitely something for the public to think about when they're commenting on what options they would like to see for the Rio Grande Trail connection. So we're approaching a section of the Rio where cobble and mud flow come down. Cobble will come down year-round on this portion. And the idea is in that all 4 options, we would do a small boulder wall on the uphill side of the trail. And so it would catch situations like this when the mud and rock come down onto the trail. We would still have to come in and clean that out, but it would prevent this mess that happens. Ideally, it would be something we would have to do less frequently than cleaning off the trail itself. It's also a big problem for the Nordic groomer in the winter when the cobble continues to come down onto this section of the alignment. All 4 options will also include repairs to the Stein Bridge. The Stein Bridge and the Stein Trail are the major connection and the only way currently that people from the ABC side have access to the Rio Grande Trail. So bare minimum, we would go in there and replace the abutments on the bridge and do repairs to the bridge itself, and minor improvements to the trail from the bridge to the Rio. People who are familiar with the Stein Trail are aware that the stairs coming out of the ABC are also something that we yearly have to maintain, and that's currently being improved in a different project. But all 4 options as part of this feasibility study include improving the bridge itself. So here we are at the waterfall that occurs along the Rio Grande Trail. It's very much a landmark. People love to stop here and let their dogs play in the water and take pictures. This feature flows year-round. In a really cold winter, people can actually ice climb on it. So when we're talking about the different options to have that hard surface and soft surface connection into Aspen, all 4 options would look at retaining this edge of the trail, the edge that occurs along the waterfall, so that we prevent the trail from becoming saturated and have room to build it up a little bit and have more of a platform. One thing to note here is that the other side drops off really steeply and quickly towards the Roaring Fork River. So when we're looking at having that full width of dual surface trail through here, we do have a cantilever on that edge. And that also means we would lose a lot of this outer edge vegetation in order to have that whole trail width platform. When we're talking about the 8 feet of asphalt, we'll still need to do retaining on that edge, and we may lose some vegetation, but we wouldn't lose all of it. Options 1, 2, and 4, this section has the sustainable soft surface. So we're kind of working with what we have, again, building up this edge, cleaning it up a little bit, and also maybe providing more of a cleaned up area to park your bikes when you do stop and look at the waterfalls. This section is definitely a very beloved portion of the Rio Grande Trail in this alignment. Something to think about when people look at the different options and how they would see that hard surface connection into Aspen working out.
The wonderful thing about the Rio Grande Trail is where it ends. I mean, here we are on the Roaring Fork River. We're at Henry Stein Park in Aspen. It is really a beautiful place to ride a bike, ride a horse, take a walk, take a run. And this particular project is one of the biggest projects that Picton County Open Space and Trails has ever undertaken. Could you summarize again what we're looking at and why it's such an important project?
Okay, so again we have the 4 different options. Option 1 being a sustainable soft surface and upgrading the existing soft surface alignment. Option 2 includes the climbing lanes on either end of McLean Flats Road and upgrading again the sustainable soft surface. Option 3 is looking at how we could get the dual surface into the city of Aspen on the existing Rio Grande Trail alignment. And within option 3 we looked at a couple different ways to accomplish that just because there are a lot of constraints on the Rio Grande alignment. And then option 4 looks at the dual surface up until when the canyon narrows and the shale bluffs come down onto the Rio Grande Trail. And then at that point we have the bridge over the Roaring Fork and the hard surface going into the city of Aspen through the ABC, and the soft surface with the sustainable upgrades continuing on into Stein Park through the existing trail alignment. Yeah, it will be the biggest trail project that Open Space and Trails has undertaken, and it's a really big thing for the city and the locals and visitors alike. So we definitely want to get everyone's input on how they feel about the different options and the way they'd like to see the project go. The goal is that we will have a decision made by next year so that we can start looking at the final engineering no matter what route we choose to take, looking at the final engineering for it next summer, and with the idea of hoping to construct as early as 2014.
So your feedback is very important as this project progresses. One of the best ways you can give us feedback is on an online survey. It's going to be on our website at aspenpitkin.com. So you can go there, take the survey, and we'd really appreciate it. Other ways you can give us feedback are to come to some of the open houses, the public open houses that are going to be held. Give us a call. Just stay informed. Keep your eyes and ears open for information about this project. We'll have a lot of information going out in the newspapers as we progress, and we really appreciate the public involvement. This is going to be a wonderful opportunity to finish up one of the best pieces of trail in the entire open space and trail system.